Maggie, yesterday we were building up the importance of the game last night for the Yankees against the Boston Red Sox, and the news comes down, right around the 5 o'clock hour, maybe a little bit beforehand, about the Yankee game being postponed, and that there were, aside from Cortez and aside from, Loizaga, there were, three confirmed positives on the Yankees, and then there were three more players that did test positive from the initial rapid testing, and then they were going through the regular testing protocols. One of those players reportedly Aaron Judge, the other one Kyle Higashioka, and the other one being Gio Urshela. And so because of that, last night's Yankee game getting postponed. So you get to the point now where, those that were at the All-Star game out there in Denver, Colorado, when did the Yankees know yesterday that this was an issue? They didn't name a starting pitcher until late in the day,
right.
Late in our show, basically the noon hour. It was believed it was going to be Jordan Montgomery. Then news came out that it was going to be Domingo Germán starting last night in the one solo game in Major League Baseball. And it's just, it's unfortunate that we're still here. It's unfortunate that we're getting the postponement. Who knows if they play the game tonight? I have my doubts that the Yankees do play tonight. It's a decision that's going to be made by Major League Baseball, not by the Yankees,
right.
Not by anybody else. Baseball will decide whether or not they're in the clear in order to play the Red Sox tonight. If and when that game does get postponed, when do you make those games up? Heard Aaron Boone on yesterday with Craig and Evan saying that he would prefer doubleheaders. The off days are few and far between, and that he would rather play, a doubleheader against the Boston Red Sox. It might have to make up two games if tonight's game gets postponed. It's just, once again, for Major League Baseball, it's a mess.
Well, it's just a reflection of society, right? It's a reflection of society, and with this Delta variant and others we've seen, the cases have gone up. Thankfully, the vaccine is effective against the virus in terms of the intensity, severity, and the hospitalizations
Not preventing
required.
you getting it.
Not preventing you getting it, but in terms of the severity of your symptoms, whether you get any at all, and whether or not the most important thing, obviously, we all know is about the hospitalizations, right? That's what has to be down, and that has continued to be down, and the vaccine has proven to be effective against that. So that's why it's so important to go and get vaccinated. But baseball is a mirror of society, and so this is happening now. We're seeing in L.A., they're putting their mask mandates back in place. L.A.
Saturday
County
midnight.
starting Saturday. I don't know what's going to happen. Here in New York, I was reading the New York Times this morning about how some health officials, and we'll talk to Dr. Brian McDonough, weren't exactly expecting this kind of like mini sort of, I want to say spike in cases, because when you say spike, it kind of reminds you of some pretty dark times here in the city, but just cases going up. But hopefully not to the threshold that we get to where, like LA, we have to put some more mandates back in place. Here's the thing, though. Like, the Yankees have to deal with this now. This is the adversity that, and I'm not trying to compare this adversity to what people have dealt with in real life. Not at all. But this is a moment here for the Yankees. If they end up losing Aaron Judge for any amount of time, let's say that they do get confirmed positives, right? Not just the rapid test, but confirmed positives. If you lose Aaron Judge for any amount of time, if you're going to lose, your backup catcher and Garrett Cole's personal catcher for any amount of time, if you're going to lose your starting third baseman, someone who I've been saying I think should be actually the starting shortstop for this team, and moving Glaber to second for any amount of time, this is some adversity for not to mention Loizaga, Cortez, and Peralta. This is the adversity here for the Yankees that is horrible timing. But at the same point, is this something that could actually galvanize this team? I'm not trying to be rah-rah, whatever. But it's either going to go one of two ways. Either it can galvanize this team, and the guys who can step up, the Stantons, the Coles, the Chapmans, Britton, DJ, these guys who are not only getting paid a lot, but, have the ability, at least we think, can they step up and try to take this team and carry this team? Well, the other part, Moose, which is, do you now get a built-in excuse? From Brian Cashman.
Yeah, I don't think it's
this important time of the year got totally sidetracked because your best player may have to deal with, is dealing with this now.
Yeah, I think the Yankees are what they are. I mean, those examples are kind of two extremes, right? Movies are great. Disney movies are great, right? This is not a Disney movie. So the idea of this team all of a sudden that has played decidedly average baseball, being galvanized by this, by taking out your Gold Glove third baseman in Gio Urshela, who's been consistent offensively, your best position player overall in Aaron Judge. You take him out of the mix. You take out your backup catcher in Kyle Higashioka. And at some point in time in the second half, they were going to have to work Gary Sanchez behind home plate because of what he was doing offensively.
Sure.
I know he cooled off towards the tail end of the first half a little bit, but he's been significantly better. That at some point Garrett Cole was going to have to be caught by Gary Sanchez. So, but I don't look at it as that. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that it's the blow that ends this Yankee season. It's hard to envision it. It just is, and I don't think it's really an excuse. I don't. I think the Yankees have played enough games. We're not looking at 50 or 60 games here. We're looking at well past the tad past the halfway point of the regular season. The Yankees have been what they have been. So if you're Brian Cashman, I don't think he can step up to the media and hang his hat if this team, if you don't have Aaron Judge for a significant portion here, if the second test comes back positive and you don't have Gio Urshela and you don't have Kyle Higashioka, I don't think he's going to look back on it and say, well, you know what? We were about to go on a run. And then, unfortunately, this happened, sign of the times, and that kind of ended all hope for us to be able to rally in the second half because they've had enough time with Aaron Judge in the lineup, with Gio Urshela being there to show exactly what this team is. And they've shown us.
Yeah, but you could argue, and we have been arguing for days now, that this stretch of 13 games is the Yankee season.
Sure.
Right? So, listen, the Mets had to deal with this early on in the season when their series against the Nationals was postponed. But that's so early on in the season, right? Like, the timing of this, I think, I'm not saying that Cashman would, step to the microphone and the first thing he would say is, listen, we had a COVID outbreak and half a dozen guys had COVID after the All-Star break. What do you expect us to do? He can't say that, but I think they would factor it in if somehow this leads to
then I would
Yankees,
say your processes are unsound.
Well, maybe your process. Well, we've been talking about that. Here's another thing, though. If Aaron Judge, and again, we're speculating here just because we don't have a lot of information. We're waiting for that for the Yankees. But say that Judge is reported by ESPN that he was one of the positives. Say that he is out for any extended period of time. Giancarlo Stanton should be in right field. At this point.
Wait a second now. The other day I was talking about that. The other day I was talking about you said there's no way he's playing in the outfield.
I think that
now all of a sudden he's going to play the outfield.
No. Aaron Boone never said there's no way. I said that he can't talk his way into the lineup.
I think
that's what I said. I never said there was no way he was going to play.
So the
I said
Yankees don't want to play him in the outfield.
He can't talk his way into the outfield. Like you said, could he barge into Aaron Boone's office and say, "I demand to be in the outfield"? I said I don't think it would work like that because I think that the Yankees medical team has a plan for him. If Judge is out any extended time and they feel comfortable that Stanton is in a good place, he should be playing right field.
Well, he should have been playing right field to begin with.
Well,
I mean, this should not be a case where he has got to play right field now. I mean, there had been times during the course of this regular season where he could have played the outfield. And
maybe they feel more comfortable.
You and I
now.
could disagree on it. I think if Stan went into that manager's office and said, listen, it's going to be for the betterment of the team. I want to play the outfield. I'm an elite level athlete. I have about 2% body fat. I think they would have found a way to put him in the outfield.
But the body fat has nothing to do with the hamstrings and stuff. They would say, we're keeping you healthy.
It's just the point of that he's an elite level athlete.
No kidding.
That's
but an injury
is handled well, but he's handled like a piece of fine china. And it gets annoying. I mean, it just does. He was able to play the outfield down in Miami. He should be able to play the outfield here in New York. I don't care about and the Yankees believe that their health and safety staff and their training staff are on point, right? That's all the Yankees tell you. So if it's on point, then you shouldn't have the fear of God of having Giancarlo Stanton to be able to play the outfield here a little bit. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I said it before all of this came down with the Yankees that Stanton should be playing the outfield at certain points. That he's been an albatross around this team's neck, being locked into that DH spot. So I don't disagree with you there. It shouldn't, if it takes this to be able for him to play the outfield, it shouldn't have taken this for him to be able to play the outfield. He should have been playing the outfield at certain points during the course of the regular season already, because then it opens up certain spots and opens up that DH role to keep, say, Sanchez is batting the lineup when Cole is starting and all of that stuff that we've talked about before.
I wonder if they wanted to see maybe the performance staff would feel more comfortable after seeing how their processes have worked for him in the first half of the season. where they actually have kept him healthy. So maybe they do feel
he's taking 4 at-bats a game.
Well, I know.
I mean, honestly, I mean,
I don't know. I don't have their information.
You could stay healthy taking 4 at-bats a game. I could stay healthy. Dove Kramer, fresh off eating Special K this morning or whatever.
What do you think's keeping him healthy?
I mean, he could go out there, no doubt about it. He could keep healthy, swinging the bat like he's swinging the bat on average, maybe 12, 13 times a game. That is what Giancarlo Stanton is doing. So, yeah, I listen, for the Yankees, yeah, you like have Stan play the outfield for sure. It's really hard. It's really hard to envision this team. And I mentioned, the Sherman piece in the New York Post. You'll find out a lot about what this team is made up of, in the second half. Now taking out, the 3 pitchers that are out and now taking out conceivably. And we'll see where this, if Gio Urshela, Kyle Higashioka, and most importantly, if Aaron Judge is out of the lineup here, Maggie, we'll see what the lineup does look like. It's hard to envision, though, with the best position player that this team has, if he misses, say, I don't know, the next 2 weeks.
The most important 2 weeks of the Yankee season.
He misses the next 2 weeks. Do I think all of a sudden the Yankees are going to be able to rally? Probably not.
But here's the thing. We talked to Joe Torre yesterday. We've talked to others about what is, that one thing that could spark a team. And sometimes in baseball, that kind of stuff happens. In sports, it does happen. I'm not saying everything is a Disney movie and all that. But there are things that guys can rally around. We thought it was going to be the Garrett Cole complete game, and then unfortunately get the gut punch of what happened on Sunday with Chad Green, Domingo Germán blowing the 5-run lead. But, we're looking for something. If this could be a galvanizing moment for this team, this is the type of adversity because it's something that's totally out of everybody's hands in terms of what baseball is going to do. We're waiting on a test. And then ultimately, they're not going to let the Yankees sit out for 2 weeks just because Aaron Judge might be, COVID positive if it comes back that he is. The Yankees aren't going to catch a break. They're going to have to move forward at some point with a lineup that's not full.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. At some point, you're going to have to get back on the field. And if Judge is not in that lineup, more often than not, especially during this important, as we talked about, this important 13-game stretch, it's hard to see it. I mean, stranger things happen. That's why we watch sports. But it's hard to envision a guy that was an all-star, hit 21 home runs in the first half, and if that second test does come back positive, that the Yankees will be able to rally the troops, a group that we've questioned the leadership on, a group that we've questioned just how close it is, a group that we've questioned whether or not they're listening to Aaron Boone on a night-in, night-out basis. That group that we've seen here for the better part of 85-plus games, that they're going to be able to rally without their best player. Stranger things have happened. I need to see that in order to believe it. I think it's for me, it's really, really hard to believe for them to be able to do that and accomplish that.
You have talented and also well-paid players who were not affected by this. And I'm talking about Stanton. I'm talking about Cole. I'm talking about Chapman if he can find himself. Britton, DJ LeMahieu. You still have a lot in this lineup.
No, I get it.
And I'm just talking about the high price guys. I'm not talking about Voit and Gary and those others.
I get it, but we talked about, the importance of Chapman when they were whole. So, I mean, that doesn't go away whether Judge is in the line.
More important than ever.
No, he was important regardless.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, regardless of whether this happened or didn't happen, you needed Aroldis Chapman to be a dominant closer for this team. So, we wait. Well, when we find out, you'll find out about whether or not the Yankees are playing the Red Sox tonight out at Yankee Stadium. If that game does get postponed, I would imagine they would want to make that announcement as early as possible to prevent people heading out to the stadium. So when we find out, you'll find out. But we're all waiting here to see if the Yankees Sox and the Yankees second half gets going tonight, and whether or not the 3 players that are in question, Urshela, Kyle Higashioka, and Aaron Judge, if the second round of COVID testing, if they've come back positives or if the initial test was a false positive.